Hey, I want to introduce you to our Kennesaw happenings. In the studio, we have Brad Heetland. Now, we want to have Brad introduce himself, who he is, what he does, and who he serves out there, and then we'll get to know Brad a little bit more.
Yeah. Good afternoon or good morning.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, Pete.
Oh, glad to.
I'm Brad Heetland and been in the Marietta, Georgia area for probably 19 out of the last 21 years. And we moved around 9 times early in life, but settled here, love it. And I'm just a kind of a glorified sales guy, leading a sales team around the country, selling some snacks and candy to the convenience store trade.
That's we share a bunch of things in common, having girls. So what was it like raising 3 girls?
Yeah, I tell you, I kind of look at it as building a foundation. And I remember when my oldest daughter, I was a slow heartbeat, and they were telling you, hey, you're going to have a boy, and I had a girl, and it was just the prettiest thing I'd ever seen. And so, being an ex, athlete or wannabe athlete, you want some boys to carry on that legacy, and having 3 daughters just really kind of changed my mindset and what was important in life, and the support that you need from your family and shared values and the overall well-being of the family. And I guess you look at girls a little bit differently, because you got to have some emotional guidance, and you got to promote self-esteem a little bit more than you got to whip them into shape. And me, probably like you and a lot of guys out there, they're girl dads, they're like, no, you're hitting it wrong. I never cheerleaded, and she was a competitive cheerleader. Yeah. Jenna was. And I'm like, no, you're not doing that right. I'm like, when did you cheer? But you encourage independence, and you want to try to be a role model best as you can. And you want to keep your, communication open, and you just want to build a strong and supporting relationship, no matter what choices they make in life.
That's awesome. Now, I don't know for sure, so I'll ask it for our viewers. You and I are golfers, and we played a number of times. What were you able to influence your girls to play golf, or was it just the putting green in the backyard there for a few years?
Yeah. Well, it was funny, because I looked early in life, when my oldest was playing softball. And at about age 11 or 12, when she was playing catcher on the slow pitch team, I knew that probably wasn't going to be the sport for her to excel in. So we started in golf. And she played at Marietta High School, and she was really a pretty good golfer. And probably the worst mistake I ever made in her golfing career was in the region championships. There was a girl from Harrison that was turned in a 38, and Erica was behind her. And you're not supposed to talk to your kids, right, in high school. You can have caddies when you're a pro, and you can have yardage books and all kinds of stuff. But in high school, when they're learning, you can't talk to them. But she made the turn at 39. I told her, like, Erica, you're 1 behind Whitney. You're 1 behind Whitney. Oh, man, she folded after that. She had like a 45 on her back. And I was like, got the tongue lashing afterwards. Oh, never talk to me again. So anyway, I had that one, and she took up golf and still plays today and loves it, and plays multiple times a week when she can.
Yeah, and I think now that I remember a little bit more, she played in college too, right?
No. Her school, she went to Carson Newman up in Tennessee, and they didn't have a golf.
Oh, okay, that's right. High school, that's where I was. Okay,
Now Kayla played college tennis at a D3, so she was a tennis player for a little while.
Yeah. What would you say, like today, like growing up with girls versus your girls today, what can our viewers learn as far as they get a little bit older and there's a different stage of their life? What do you see as a dad of girls? What are the challenges, and what can you share with our viewers?
I think it goes back to their real youth and the foundation that you try to bring into your world and or to your girls. And I think giving most of the credit to mom.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, when your girls are young, you got to build that foundation. And I think all of us go through this period of time where our minds are at warfare, you know, between, you know, what is right and what is wrong and what the truths are versus what the evils are. And I think where most people struggle is the belief system that you try to instill in your girls. And so we kept them pretty active in our faith, which I think was critically important.
Right.
And you know, the Bible will tell you that you're in a battlefield and you constantly have to renew your thoughts.
Yeah.
And not that your behaviors are already always there, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I traveled, I don't know, 100 nights a year, you know, for most of my career. And when you get out in the workplace, you have a different mindset because you kind of want to fit in. And so your behaviors didn't match your heart. And I always knew that my behaviors wasn't really what I believed in.
Right.
You know, and I had a pastor one time who said that the Bible will keep you from sin and sin will keep you from the Bible.
Wow.
Now think about that.
Yeah, that really, yes.
So when Jenna started going through her ministry and kept working on me, I was thinking my behaviors, you know, it's kind of good behavior, you know, dad's gonna be good or whatever it might be. But it really never clicked until if you get your heart right, then your behaviors will change.
Right.
And that's what she has taught me through all of this, which, you know, helps with her sisters as well. Right. Instead of being, you know, some crazy Bible thumper, which, you know, it's just the behaviors within your heart. Yeah. So align your lives and align your thoughts with what is the truth. And that will kind of transform your behaviors. And that's where we started early in life. Now I got a quick story.
Yeah.
My wife's a school teacher. She started at age 55. So she's probably the oldest one in the school, most mature.
Yeah, there we go. Wisest.
Wisest. Yeah. And they were having a Super Mario Day, right? Yeah. She's like, well, I don't know anything about Super Mario. You know, our kids never had Nintendo, they never had games. And she was talking to some of the younger teachers who told her, you know, what to dress up is. So she ended up being a cloud or whatever. And they were like, you never knew Super Mario? I said, no, we had our girls in church. We haven't been games. So yeah, I think that helped build our foundation and it worked for us.
Yeah. So, what would you say, like, to the business people out there that are traveling and just the being away a decent amount of time? What are the challenges that you considered or that you ran into that maybe you could share with our viewers that were tough at times?
Yeah, I think you have to, and it depends on your foundation and where you grow from, which will manage your thoughts as you are on the road. And I think if you have obedience to your thoughts through your heart, it will keep you from doing some of the things that, you know, that you're not supposed to do.
Right.
And I think we all struggle with that.
Sure.
You know, I certainly did. Yep. You know, but you know, after 43 years of marriage, I think, you know, you figure out that there's always shared values. And if your values are always shared, if you never put I in front of anything, because most of us we think we're the kings of our little kingdom, which is a temporary kingdom. And I want to get spiritual, but it doesn't matter. Yeah. You know, you got to figure out that if you guys are on the same page and you're working towards the same end goals, then I think that will shape the way people, you know, behave.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's good insight. Well, for our golfers out there, you know, in your travels and being in the business world, what course stands out in your mind that you were able to play by virtue of being a good golfer and being in the business world? Yeah. Was there one that stands out?
Yeah, when I was younger, Bay Hill was one when I was younger, and I was hitting the ball a ton, and I just loved that. I've only played it one time. The other one that was Whistling Straits. I really enjoyed Whistling Straits.
Wow.
And I would play it much different today. I haven't played it in like 15 years, but that was the one course I couldn't break 80 on. And the hardest course I've ever played non-business was Carnoustie. I played that 3 times and I've broken 80 on that. I shot 80. No, I haven't broken it. I shot 81 one time in the wind, and that was certainly fun. But I think in a business perspective, depending on if you're good, they're gonna usually put you with key people, because the key people want to win. And I think it's what you do with that 4.5 hours can shape how your relationship builds with a customer. And I used to say, put me with somebody for 4.5 hours and they will be a friend, for life, or an acquaintance anyway. Maybe not a friend, but an acquaintance.
We always had fun in the softball years of just, hanging out and, the girls playing softball and things like that. So I would, if our viewers try to understand, I don't think there's a person that you meet that you're not your friend. I mean, you're very outgoing. How has that helped you in the business journey? Because you're in the tail, you're not the tail end, but you're a little bit older in your journey. So how has that helped you in your business career?
Yeah, I think it all goes, I look at it in 5 different ways. I look at, behaviors, relationships, attitudes, value, and that creates an environment or a culture. So I think if your behaviors are right, you can help change another salesperson's behavior, because that's a choice, right? Your relationships are both internal and external. I think attitude is what happens when you get up in the morning and what you do. I mean, do you go straight for the coffee? Do you go to the gym? Do you read the devotional? I think that's important, to have an attitude where you get up on the right side of the bed. And not all people get up on the right side of the bed.
Sure.
But that's a choice that I choose every day. And then I think value is what you add. Okay. It's not selfish to have a good value, right? It's selfish to take credit for it yourself. Again, because most of us are prideful, and we want to say it's all about me, and it's not about you, because without God you wouldn't be here. So make it more about the long-term values you're adding, and I think that changes environment for your sales team, or for your business team, or for your customers. You look at it that way, and I think that's a win.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that. Do you feel that you manage your team differently today than you did 10 years ago because of culture or anything changing in society?
Yes and no. I mean, yes, I manage them today a little bit differently due to the fact that you've got social media, you've got influences from the outside, and you have email. And it's easy to make snap judgments on email without a conversation. So I try not to be an email bully. If we're missing something, or we're missing a goal, let's pick up the phone and let's have open communication, so that that whatever business issue you have or personal issue you have, you talk about it and you talk through it, versus trying to do it through email. That's my advice, is go back to the old fashioned, have a discussion. It works a lot better than trying to win an argument over an email.
Wow, that's profound. I mean, because I think we've fallen into that disconnected world. And I agree, it's emailing and texting, and sometimes we don't have those conversations that are important, because you can't get the feeling of a conversation through a written text or an email. So that's really good to hear that. And I think for our viewers, because I was on a golf trip, and the person was telling me about his engagement with his landscaper, and he hired him from his old high school, but has zero communication with him. I mean, communication is so challenging today, because we tend to be busy, and we we think because we're busy, we don't need to communicate. And I think to hear you say that those conversations are important, I think our viewers would really appreciate that.
I'll give you, I was, we were living in Texas after Jenna got out of college when she was going to Ole Miss. And Don and I moved to Texas. And after 2 years being there, one of my old customers called me, wanted me to come run their warehouse here as president of their division up here. And we were going to come back to Atlanta at some point anyway. So why not come back on the company's dime? And being president was kind of a cool thing. And but 80% of the folks, 90% of the folks were hourly workers. They were warehouse selectors, they were pickers, they were stampers on cigarettes, they were truck drivers. I didn't know anything about operations. I knew what Lean Six Sigma was. I didn't know anything about operations, but I came back because of the culture piece, and I started treating people like, why did we have 10% of our people out every time the Falcons played on a Sunday? And I couldn't get the work done. Well, buy them a pizza and put some TVs somewhere, or give them some more breaks, do something to make it a little bit more enjoyable. So some of the things that were simple things that were common sense to me is you treat every person the same. Now, I got taken advantage of for doing some of those things, but it was really kind of a life experience that I didn't have a college educated salesperson. I had a warehouse person that had gone through some hardships in life, and I try to treat them the same.
That's good. I mean, it's really encouraging to hear that. Now, I'm going to bring up some painful moments, and I just want your reaction to it. I know you went to Auburn, and I watched a decent amount of college football. The Alabama-Auburn game this year, what was your reaction on that last play?
Well, I was sitting in the upper deck running about the goal line of where they ran the grave digger play. And later found out that our defense was called trail man. So they had called timeout. I remember that, they got the penalty for being across the line of scrimmage, and we were kind of like not celebrating, but there's no way they're going to score on 4th and 31. It's not possible. And so we were kind of happy-go-lucky. My brother went with me, and we were ready to get to the car and get back to Atlanta. And man, as soon as he caught that pass, my brother was out of there. He was like, I said, I'm staying. And then I stayed to the interception, and we hauled tail to the car and got back in about an hour and 40 minutes from Auburn back to home. So didn't stop. You got to go to the bathroom? Nope, we're going. So I was like, but did you see the Auburn basketball team? They're looking pretty good.
Hey, I got you got to shift it pretty quickly if you want to be saying.
You talked earlier to my daughter Jenna, and she's getting married on December 30th, which is about 12 days from now. And we're real happy about that. But she went to Ole Miss, I went to Auburn, and most of everybody else went to Georgia. Now there's 43 bowl games, this year.
Yes.
The 3 that I want to see are on December 30th.
Oh, no.
Now, how can that be? I said, God has a sense of humor.
Yes, exactly.
So when that bowls came out, I was doing something somewhere, and I said, hey, Donna, did you see the bowl schedule? Ole Miss, Auburn, and Georgia play at the same time. I mean, the same day. We can move the wedding to Friday night. She said, don't you ever go there. Don't you even go there.
I think through the phone there was rockets of fire going through there. You don't. We're not moving a football game. We're not moving a wedding for a football game.
Well, the Rose Bowl starts at 5. The wedding's at 5. So most everyone will be done. I'm not sure whether we're going to collect phones on the way in. Well, there'll be somebody in the audience.
Yes, I did go to a friend's wedding, and he went to Notre Dame, and it was on a bowl game, and so all the college kids were there. I mean, you might as well have had 2 separate events. They were absolutely dialed into the football game with 1 foot in the wedding and 1 foot in the football game. It was hilarious because the adults were more they didn't care as much. But college kids and football, yeah, it's a different mindset for sure. Yeah. So I want to bring us back to your golfing, because I love. Now, you had a putting green.
I did
for a couple of years.
Yeah.
What did you like? Become a better putter because of that putting green, or did it just? It really was it too long ago?
It wasn't for me. And here's the sickness behind my thought process.
Yeah.
I built that putting green, which was 6 holes, left, right, left, up, down. Very nice. And then at the bottom of the yard, I had, a bobcat come in and dig out a 2/3 of the size tennis court.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had a trampoline over here. So I had a golfer, a tennis player, and a trampoline for the cheerleader.
Yeah.
So competitive cheerleader.
Right.
I was thinking, if I invested now, because I all went to Marietta High School, if I invested now, that I would have 3 scholarships. College wouldn't cost me a penny.
I love that thinking.
That was yes. Behind it.
Oh yeah. So at least you put the right thoughts in when you put it together. That is so good.
Yeah. It wasn't for me. Now my putting's okay. My short game, my chipping is still terrible. But Pete, I started playing golf at 10 in South Florida. I grew up playing with the Boris kids, with Bruce Devlin's kid. Always played in their groups.
Yeah.
I was shooting, when I was 10, 11 years old, we'd played 9 holes. I was always in the 30s, 38, 39s. And then, of course, when you have kids, you don't play for 20 years. And then now you got the bug again, and now you can't hit it as far. And so, but
all right. So enjoyable. As we wind down now, we had your daughter Jenna on the podcast. This gives you an opportunity to kind of let our viewers know, like, just being that she has come to this point, an author, she's written an incredible book, Wounded Joy. So for our viewers that are seeing separate broadcasts, we'll put a link in the show notes for it. But why don't you share with our viewers just that really, some thoughts with Jenna writing this book and where she is with it.
Yeah. Well, I first of all, extremely proud the fact that she's chosen a different path in life. And initially, I think as a dad, and your daughter has a great corporate job and doing great things for society, when your daughter says, "Hey, I quit today, and I talked to you about this, but you didn't listen, but I quit, and I'm going to go into the ministry and do these different things." I think if your heart's not in the right place, you won't accept that as well as you do. But I think that what she's done, and listen to her speak live and via tape, she's got a great future. I think her husband is so supportive, or her future husband's supportive, which is going to make a great difference in that part of the relationship.
Absolutely.
And it's funny because I had 3 things I want to talk about. One was the foundation, which is faith, family, and then friends. And I look at the 2 friends I got to invite. I got to invite like 3 friends to the weddings.
That seems to be a common theme.
But it's funny. I have 2 of my friends coming. One from high school and his wife, who've been my friends since elementary school,
right?
And then one from college, who's a dear friend. And then throughout life, you have friends and acquaintances.
Yes,
and many of them, especially if you're a type A personality.
Yeah.
Well, I look at Jenna's wedding party, and she's got 1 high school friend and 1 college friend. And so I'm thinking, man, that kind of all fits together, because here I am 50 years later, 45 years later, and I got the same 2 or 3 friends. And then she's just starting, and she's only 10 years out of school or whatever, 8 years. And it's a high school and a college friend. I thought that was pretty unique. So
that is. I mean,
the train of life will put a lot of people in through it, and so there's probably a lot of people I would go to Scotland with if I was asked again for that one final trip. Making my 8th trip to Scotland.
So Dang.
Hey,
Okay.
I'm
Look,
available.
I'm a good caddy too.
Yeah.
I've not that I've been over there and know the environment, but I can become a good caddy. So just consider golfer Pete as a good caddy.
Absolutely.
So here, well, we want to wind down. Tell our viewers how they can get a hold of you. Give them some information, and then we're going to let you have the parting thought.
Yeah. B Heetland 1, Heetland 1 at gmail.com. Just a regular guy trying to, build the foundation to take, to leave a legacy. I don't want to, I don't want that dash in the middle to be like 1957 dash, 2000, whatever. I'd like that dash to mean something on my legacy that I was able to influence and encourage people.
That's awesome. Well, we appreciate you taking the time to be in our studio and coming across town to be with us. So thank you, Brad, for being with us today.
Thank you, Pete.
Okay.